Good morning. We are live. We are Bonnie and Thomas Leota with Creating Champions for Life, and we are here to share the parenting path to paradise. And we've been doing this for the last couple of weeks. We are on week 3. And I just want to say that I think we were born to bring you a message, bring all the parents of the world a message that our children are capable to be, do, and have anything that it is that their purpose is to be here. We're here to show you an easier way, a more simple way. Tom prefers the word simple because nothing is easy. No change is easy, but a more simple way to gain cooperation with your children, to be able to work with them as a team, to be on the same page. And we might not always get it right because we're so excited about the information, the content that we have to share, that sometimes it's like you're there and we're spraying you in the face with a big hose, right? It's like so much information all at once. And every time before we go live, we're like, let's just keep it really simple. We'll just keep to a couple points today, and we end up going off. So if you're watching this and you're like, whoa, that was a lot of information, repetition is a second law of learning. And just bear with us, stay with us. We're going somewhere with our message, and it's going to be absolutely life-changing for you. So I want to bring up this. We figured out how to share our screen. See, you can learn something new every day. You can't teach old dogs new tricks. Yes, you can. We can all learn something new. And so I want to point out that the first week we were talking about environment. So that's in the top left-hand corner of the image that you're seeing here, where we shared your role as a parent is to guide them, to be their mentor, to be their plan creator, to be on their side, to show them how the world works, not to be somebody in control of their behavior, in control of when they eat, what they wear, when they get up, when they go to bed. You can see how if somebody was in control of you 100% of the time, how you would close up, go into a box, wouldn't you? Because I'm talking like this, you're like, whoa, yeah, we didn't look at parenting like that before, but we have been taught literally to lavish our kids with attention and to basically control their behavior with punishment. Literally since the beginning of time, we've been taught that way. But since 1946, lavishing them with attention and responding to their every whim, that we should kiss and coddle and make sure that they feel loved and make sure that they get enough attention, and all these things have become forefront of our role as a parent. And we're pointing out that our role is to teach them life skills and to show them how the world works. That's it. Anything above and beyond that, well, they can earn through working a plan, through communicating and cooperating with you. The next one was the two extremes, where do you ever feel like you're in one world and they're in another world, and you're just like, how do you deal with these children? And it's because children cannot see the world in the same way that you do. They can't, you guys. We can only learn through experience. I mean, we're on week 3 of learning how to share our screen, and people have told us how to do it. People have told us that we can do it, but until you actually sit down and go through the practice of it, and even though we did learn how to share our screen here today, we'll probably forget next time. So it's then repeating the action until you can master the process. Are you with me on this? All right. So when you can come down and see the world and remember what it was like to be a child with a curious nature, wanting to do this and be this and try this. And, if they're 2, they want to touch the burner. If they're like 8, they want to go on a sleepover. If they're 13 or 14, they want to smoke cigarettes or vape or do whatever it is that the teenagers are doing. And so as a parent, you're like, no, oh my gosh, you're going to die. And the child's like, all my friends are doing it. So we showed you how to come together in one mind and then become the fisherman. If we do everything for our children, like the more that you do that they can do themselves, we literally smother their growth of their emotional quotient. And so the principle here was to duplicate yourself by teaching your child to become a fisherman, not just feed them fish all the time. And that's where a lot of resentment will come from the child, because they don't have the words to say, back to the two extremes, they don't have the words to say, can you show me how the world works? Can you give me a plan on how I can do the things that I'm excited about. And anyways, you might want to go back and watch session 1. It was about 45 minutes just on that section there. And then last week we talked about knowing the reward. Are we bribing our children? Are we threatening them? Or do we know what their goals are? What is it that your children want to be, do, and have? These are things that are important to their little spirit. And it's our job to know what drives them, what fills the fuel. The next, we talked about the maze. Life is a maze. At every moment of every day, you and I and our children have a choice to make. They can go left, right, or straight. And your job is to show them the maze by giving them choices. Hey, you know what? You're 13 and you want to go to a party. When you do this, this, and this, when you're 14, 15, 16, whatever your values are, you see, there's a customized plan that will work for you and your family, not us telling you what the maze should be. And that's how your child should feel as they're learning to navigate their way through this crazy world that we're living in. And then kill the dictator. Like, hey guys, get up. It's time to get dressed, brush your teeth, eat your breakfast, get your shoes. Let's go. We're going to be late. Get to the car. We've become a society, and I'm talking on a global scale, of dictators. And we know that none of us want to live in a dictatorship. And so that part there was to teach you to begin to ask more questions, to allow your child to show you who they are versus you telling them who they're supposed to be all the time, which is where a lot of this anger, resentment, negative energy is coming from. If you can see this as true, if you can feel in your soul that what we're saying is truth, go ahead and share a comment, like the video or something like that. Give us a bump so we can know we're on the same page. Hey, Don, good morning. You're watching from the stage. Oh, we have somebody else. We got Jen, Celine. Oh, and Don joined us live too. Okay, welcome. Sorry, we are moving on to the final week of the Parenting Path to Paradise. This is it. When you learn to master all of these different segments in your parenting life, you are guaranteed to have more peace, harmony, happiness, cooperation, respect, close connected relationships, and everything that we're talking about here is possible for you. We hear terrible twos, teenage rebellion, and we're here to say that that does not have to be a normal part of life. I know that we're taught that it is, but no, it's not right. Being right is to have more love. You know this, you want this. I know every single parent watching is like, I'd love to have closer connections with my children and to be on their same page and everything else. So what are we talking about? What's the first section here? We're talking about how to improve parent-child communication so it become more effective. And I've got a couple comments here. So when we are not right ourselves, how do we show them life skills when we don't have them ourselves? Well, then we got to work on ourselves, right? We got to learn as we go. I tell my children all the time, oh God, I'm getting old, you guys. I'm 50 this year. But let's say 10 years ago, I'm like, I'm 40, you're 14. You're learning how to be a 14-year-old. I'm learning at 40 how to parent a 14-year-old, and we're in this together. So you don't have to be perfect, mom or dad. I'm not sure who I'm talking to there, but you don't have to be perfect. You just have to understand what your role is and learn this new special language. And we have a lot of clients on here who work with us who are learning to speak kid, who are learning their own parenting path to paradise, and you can do it too. All right, so we're moving on to week number 3, how to improve parent-child communication. Thomas is helping me raise the child inside of me. Yeah, we're here for you, mom and dad, okay? We're here for you. We help you change. You are the cause of the environment in your home. And so when you learn to change the cause, which is you, then the effect will automatically change. All right. So great question. And if you want to come join us live, in the description that you found this presentation, there should be a live stream invitation there for you to be able to join us live. All right. So the first section of this learning how to communicate, we're going to call the bottom section Yoda. So if you've ever seen Star Wars, you know that Yoda is a master communicator. When Luke Skywalker's going, but I tried. And Yoda says, there is no try. There is just do or do not. So we're going to do it or we're not going to do it, but there is no try. And so we're talking about linguistics and being on the same page with your child. And how do we know that the message we're sharing with them is picked up in their brain, put together in the exact same image that you have in your mind when you're asking your child to do things like their homework, like their chores? Because somewhere along the way, we have been taught to speak in double negatives. No, you can't go to your friend's house because you didn't do your homework yet. And what do you think your child hears in that statement? Nope, you can't go to your friend's house because you didn't do your homework yet. I'm looking for comments in the comment section underneath the video, by the way. That is a live question as I pass it over to Thomas to talk about the ecosystem.
Mm-hmm. I love that question. When you tell your kid no, you're basically saying, I picked you as my trusted advisor, and you're telling me it can't work. Okay. But deep down inside, I know that it can. Why? Because I've got that feeling. I may not know how to do it, but I'm going to keep on keeping on. And what ends up happening is I start to look for another trusted advisor. You know, the one that will actually give me the scoop. And when you catch me doing and following that passion, you're going to call it, I lied to you, I cheated, and I stole. You're going to catch me doing a behavior, me following my passion without your permission. But why would I just stop with when you tell me no, when I know that it can happen because I've seen somebody else do it before?
Right.
There's the big golden nugget for those of you that are note takers. If you go pen to paper, it will definitely last for you. If it's in your head, you'll lose it quick.
Yeah, and I wanted to share this really quickly because Eileen got it right. All they hear is, no, I can't go to my friend's house. They don't understand is because you didn't do your homework. They don't understand that all you want them to do is do their homework and then they can happily go to their friend's house. Are you with me on this? Okay, it's a fine line, but it's definitely a line.
That is so true. And just to give a little bit of history, it was back in 1994 when there was a chance to teach the kids. It was going to be put into a role of leadership, a trusted advisor for a big group of kids in the martial art class. And you can't say yes and you can't say no. So there was another alternative. It was right down in the middle. And we'll get into that later. But that's the part that really does make sense. But as we get into this next one, what does empowerment really, really mean? Well, there's 3 accelerators to what Yoda does. He says there is no try. You either do or do not. Make it very crystal clear. And the first one is called the ecosystem. Ecosystem. Well, how many of us remember in our childhood, we were maybe able to go into a large cave, or you're in a valley and you went, hello. And what did you hear back?
Hello.
Right.
Hello.
You're like, oh my gosh, that was my voice. The first time you ever heard an echo, you're like, you basically stood there and you played with Mother Nature's toy for like hours. And you said all kinds of favorite things that mom might not approve of. But at the time, it was really cool. How does this apply to parenting? Well, I always hear parents say all the time, of course he knows how to do it. I told him
15 times.
20 times. I told him repeatedly. I feel like a broken record. Well, how many times am I like you? You're like me, where you're like, it went in one ear and right out the other. And an ecosystem is exactly like what we talked about just a minute ago. If you were to tell them, well, how do I make my bed? I want you to make your bed. All right, well, let's make it smooth, even, and tucked. Uh-huh. And then you show back up like 5-10 minutes later. You're like, what are you doing? I don't know. Well, I told you what to do. What is wrong with you? Right?
Mm-hmm.
The conversation spirals out of control. But at the time, you're like smooth, even, and tucked. And you're like, all right, little genius, echo back what you heard me say. And they're like, smooth, even, and tucked. What it does is it takes a moment for training, learning. Our neurons in our brain must be exercised like a muscle. And if they're not, nothing connects. So if it goes in the ears, smooth, even, and tucked, starts to bounce around, it starts to rewire. And then if it echoes out their mouth exactly the same, you're helping to develop what we call transferring the responsibility of you do all four. So eventually you do with, and then they capture it and can do it all by themselves. Kind of like when we graduated, changing their diaper. I bet you a lot of us are excited about that one, or even tying their own shoes and getting themselves dressed. The ultimate game is to pass over everything that you do for them now so they can do it all by themselves. And it all starts with an ecosystem. If you give instructions, have them echo it back. They may not be the best at it, but at least we're eliminating the I don't know, and pulling your hair out and sounding like a broken record.
Absolutely. So if you go back to the previous segments, weeks 1 and week 2, you know that your child says, "Mommy, I want to go to my friend's house." And then you say, "I would love for you to go to your friend's house as soon as your homework is done, maybe 2 pages of the book or whatever it is, specifically, as soon as this page is complete or these 2 pages are complete, you may go to your friend's house. Can you echo back what I said? Finish my homework and then I can go." You got it. Look how smart you are. Absolutely. And you know what, you guys? I had a comment the other day going, "Oh, we're not supposed to use the word smart," or something. Like, it was like, I don't know who teaches you that, but I've never had one child or teenager when you're like, "Oh my gosh, look how smart you are. You make the right decision," as we're guiding them through their maze. Never had one of them go, "Don't tell me how smart I am," unless we're praising them when they don't deserve to be praised. Like, we've done most of the work, or it was our idea for them to do blank, and then you praise them or something like that. Like, if you're going out of your way to look to praise, they know it's not authentic. But I've never had a child freak out when you tell them how smart they are. So follow that word for word and you'll have a much better cooperation today. Yeah. All right, so we're moving on to the next one.
Absolutely. Let's jump right into this.
And while we're writing on the screen here, I just want to say to all the moms out there that the ecosystem works really great with hubbies too. Can you go to the store and get me some milk and some eggs and some butter? Can you repeat back what I said? Milk, eggs, butter. Got it. Good. We're on the same page.
You see, one of the plus ones to the ecosystem is the transferring of what we call as the R card, responsibility. Moms, you know, and of course there's a few dads, so we're not going to leave you out, but it's usually dominant moms. You know that you hold every single responsibility card, no or yes. And I am looking for some interaction because this is how we learn. Echo it in, come back out and give us a comment.
Yes.
And so if there is any truth to that, then why would we ever have to hold on to all the responsibilities for our kids? There's no other animal in the animal kingdom that follows this behavior except for man because of free will. We can be actually trained to overcompensate. And there's a whole different part to that. But if we're able to echo back and then they repeated it, we started the healing process, the empowering process, and most importantly, the third process, which is the empowerment. You mean so I'm starting to learn what is to do, and I'm also going to be able to one day do follow the leader, and eventually I'll be able to do it all by myself. It's very, very key. So let's jump into the next accelerator to Yoda's linguistics of empowerment. It's called the reframe. Reframe? Well, what does that even mean? Well, let's just break down the word. Frame it up. What are you seeing? It's like a picture. You're looking through a movie screen. Re is a prefix meaning again. So this stems under complaints. They will, "Oh, I can't do it. Oh, it's too hard. I don't want to." Yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. We call it a complaint. Gosh, my kid just can't do anything. And it's just faster if I just do it myself. Sound familiar? If you were to look at this through two types of lenses, one is, and interact with this, grab one of those little eyeglasses with me and do it together. Look through it. When you pull it away, you hear a complaint. And when you look through this, you're like, Here's another day of stuff I don't like. Say it with me one time. I see things I don't like. And then all of a sudden, you go right into the negative side of the equation. But if you were to flip it around and look through another lens called the educational lens, well, when you look through this lens, it's pretty magical, because what are you seeing? When I pull it away, I see a complaint. When I put it there, I see that they've got a goal. They've got a passion and purpose coming from the inside out with no clue what to do. Sound familiar? That's pretty awesome. So you could either look through it as, I see something I don't like, which is where you start. If you reframe it and you look through the other lens, you see that they are just looking to mimic you and do something in a way that would be like you. And so the reframe, if you can look at it just like this. I see a complaint, something I don't like. Flip it around and reframe it and go, oh, they're just looking to do something just like me. And instead of seeing that something is wrong, they're really looking for education. Hey, can you teach me how you did it? Or motivation. Oh, wow. How do you make all this stuff work? Well, if you got a goal, nothing's going to stop you. And all you needed to do is the action steps. Education or motivation is the reframe to what we would be commonly known as complaining.
Yeah, that's awesome. So to put it that in layman's terms, we go back to the ecosystem. I want you to make your bed smooth, even, and tucked before we eat breakfast. So as soon as your bed's smooth, even, and tucked, we can have breakfast. Then the child whines or complains. So what Tom was saying is, when the child's complaining, it's not their behavior. When we can look through the educational lens and go, is maybe they don't know what smooth, even, and tucked actually looks like. So then we have to go back to the hero, the very first segment from week 1, where it's our job to show them how the world works. This is smooth. This is tucked. And then you mess it all up and have them repeat. Now they have the education. If they're whining because they don't really want to, that means that you're doing too much. And as Tom said earlier, we're overcompensating. We're doing too much and they just don't want to. And so that goes back to knowing their reward, which is the carrot segment. You see how it all ties together, and we master every little bit of this. Oh, wow, your world is going to be rocked and it's going to completely change. There's a question. Can you please add Ken? His membership is pending. I did put a StreamYard comment, so if you can share that link with him, he can come on and join us live. Other than that, I'll have to deal with that afterwards. All right, so the reframe is reframing our mindset from seeing their complaints as poor behavior and knowing that they either need to be shown how or they need some motivation, which means you need to start going, I'd love you to have that. That's called a goal.
And this might even kind of bring her in for another way to relate to this. When we were running the after school and all day summer camp program, where our Creating Champions for Life really doesn't have much to do with martial arts, but the martial arts in my journey allowed me to not only own and operate a school where I got a chance to actually work these universal principles that have been around since the beginning of time with thousands of kids. And one of the stories happened is a complaining, is a reframe, is that we were going on, we grabbed our bus, we were heading towards the library to just go do a fun hide and go seek, find something that you like to do and something you like in the library, and we're going to be sharing what you found. And as we started going, this little boy who just started with us, maybe with us a week or two, and he started to act out in a way the closer we got to the library. And everybody was thinking, well, gosh, that don't do this. This is the behavior we don't want to see. And it got closer and closer. It kept getting bigger. He's throwing, hitting. And it was like, well, wait a minute. It's not a behavior. We reframe it. I'm like, there's got to be something more to this. He's got a motivation here. What's his goal? He doesn't want anybody to know that he doesn't know how to read. We want to make sure that everybody knows that he doesn't want to be teased like he was. He was in the 5th grade when we got him tested for reading. He was actually at a 1st grade reading level. And when we looked at his history, he had a consistent misbehaving record for 4 years. Not because he was a bad kid or didn't know how to actually do things. He was on his own goal to protect himself from being teased. When we can reframe the scenario, you can see deeper into what's really happening rather than just what's on the surface. So being able to reframe allows you to have the power, moms and dads, to not be stuck in reactive mode, but can put you in an empowerment so you can be on the positive side. That's very powerful.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I learned so much when I started seeing this. And I had teenagers. Well, my kids I had 4 kids. They were ages almost 7 to 12 or 13. I'm trying to think how old Jacob was. But anyways, all in around those ages. And man, I hadn't taught them anything. Like I hadn't taught them how to fold a blanket. I hadn't taught them what I meant when I would say sit straight up in a chair. And I know it might seem ridiculous to you because you know the picture in your mind when you think sit straight up in a chair. But does your 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 15-year-old, if we've actually never taken a chair and showed them what it looks like, they are not going to have the same picture as you, even though they can speak fluent English. See what I'm saying? It's kind of like if we go back to when you were 15, you wanted to drive a car. I could tell you all day long, check your mirrors, put your seatbelt on, start the car, turn the key to start the car. And then to get out of the driveway, all you have to do is push in the clutch, right? You got to hold the clutch and the brake at the same time, move the gear shift over down to the right. And then you have to take your foot off the clutch like this and put the gas on like this. And then it'll actually go out the driveway. Do you know what to do? You know the undeniable truth right there. So we're moving on to the fuel. And, you know, when we're talking about the fuel, I want to talk about mind, body, and soul. What fuel is going into your child's mind? What food is going into their body? What are they reading, watching, listening to? You know, what are you reading, watching, and listening to? Because I'm telling you what, there is some content out there. We're in the information age. There's more information to help you learn to be, do, and have whatever it is that your heart desires for your life. And when you can step into your own personal power and you can be like, oh my gosh, I'm my child's leader here. It's my job to create an environment that causes them to desire things, because when everything comes too easy, I saw a post the other day that said, you know, trying to make your life easier actually makes your life harder. Like exercise is hard, but it makes your life easier. What we're talking about here, creating goals, creating plans for your children, creating a customized master plan for your family that you can learn to walk through and step into your power that allows your child to rise up. Oh my gosh, like your whole world will change. You will not have the same perceptions of your children, of your parenting role, of your job. You're just going to walk through like confident, like, oh, you know, you don't have to eat your vegetables. That's cool. And then walk away. But I thought you wanted to like, whatever. I thought you wanted to have a cookie after dinner. See what I'm saying? You can always agree with your child. It takes 2 to argue, and all of these power struggles that we blame on our children for being little buggers, it takes 2. And so these skills right here are for you to learn. And as you learn them, your child will follow your lead. Like, it's amazing watching our 17-year-old, the things that he says and the things that he does and the things that he does for other people. And just him carrying around his little notebook. It's just amazing that we don't need to tell him certain things. He just does them because we do them, like echo back and asking questions and something like that.
Yeah, this is really neat. And a lot of times we see just Facebook user. If you want to put your name, that way we can at least know who you are and interact with you. But Facebook Facebook user says, when we get too much information and we don't implement it here at a rate that's manageable, how do we break that down so it's easy to do? Well, the first thing that popped into my head is, you know what's the most inefficient way to eat a pie? Is open your mouth and take the whole pie and go right there. That sounds like too much information to implement. You got to be able to do smaller bites.
Yeah.
And so if you look right here and you go all the way around, you're going to have a tremendous amount of information. Facebook user. I was looking to see if you put your name in there, right?
Yeah.
We actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 12 principles that are right here for you to see. And because you must put in some repetition. Second law of learning, faith without the deed is dead. You must put some physical action behind it. So we strategically made this where we would concentrate one. Yeah, my name is on here. Oh, it's Rhiannon Gamble. Yes, there you are. Good to see you. Yes, we do one module each month for a 1-year program. So you can get the big meal, enjoy everything it is, and then digest it, implement it, and then move on to the next one with some practical exercises each month, because it takes 21 days to create a new neural pathway that will stick and stay as you plug and play, as you just keep doing something every day. That's part of the difference. There's tons of information, but there's not somebody to walk you through the yellow brick road process step by step. We call that accountability. And we have a program that checks in once a week, so you can be right on track through a 1-year program. That way you can catch it sooner than later, because nothing's worse than driving 3 hours in the wrong direction and then having to turn around if you would have known sooner than later. So great comment, and thank you for bringing value to that awareness. The last one, and we're going to be wrapping up here before we go live and have some people here who maybe want to share and ask other questions. We'll interact some more. It's the fuel, just like Bonnie talked about. This is the last one for empowerment. Let's relate it to our car. We know that if there's actually some water or a contaminant in the fuel, the car would start to cough and sputter. Nor yes, it's very rhetorical. What if it is the fuel that we're giving to our kids that had some ingredients that the body goes, what do you want me to do with this? Just like water in the gas. What does the engine, what do you want me to do with this? It's something that doesn't empower us. And one of the things about fuel for our body is that when we're hungry, it's asking for ingredients so we can actually keep healthy, happy, and whole. One of the things that I've noticed that was a big thing is they used to have food coloring that was called Blue 1, Yellow 5, R40. These are the fuels that will disempower your children and big kids as ourselves. When we can eliminate the other ingredients that our body does not recognize as fuel, then you will be more empowered. This is very, very powerful. And it kind of comes back to that first time when we first met, and we were out there going in a grocery store, and we went to happen to grab some.
Oh, yeah. So when I was a younger mother, I used to think that organic whole foods, oh gosh, this is terrible. Like, I was not taught about nutrition at all when I was growing up. So I thought that organic food was something the government made up to be able to charge more for their vegetables. Anyway, so when we went shopping the first time and I went to pick out peanut butter and I picked out the Smooth, because it said Smooth on it. He goes, why'd you pick that one? I'm like, I don't know. It says Skippy. I recognized the brand. And then we looked at the ingredients.
Yeah. And so the ingredients had about 10 or 12 different listed items. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. What are all those extra things in there really for? They're not for nutrition. If you've ever had original peanut butter, the one that has one ingredient called peanuts, it usually has an oil in it. So you got to stir it up. And yes, you got to have some self-control, or it might be a little bit messy. But they added those extra ingredients so you didn't have to stir it up and not have to deal with that at the expense of our health. So the fuel is very, very key. Are we just surviving for a day, or are we empowering for lifelong, healthy, happy, and whole, WHOLE? Yeah. So that's the fuel.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so we could talk all day and we could feed you more information. As I said at the very beginning, we're here to show you and to teach you and to guide you that there is a better, more empowering, more absolutely positive way to parent and raise our children in a way that they actually respond to, in a way that promotes cooperation and love and respect and harmony and they just look at you like you're their favorite idol in the whole world. I mean, I have a picture at Christmas time where my 21-year-old, my 19-year-old, and my 16-year-old are all sitting on my lap. This was just last Christmas. And I'm like, somebody take a picture of this. Somebody took a picture, but nobody can seem to find it now. But anyways, the point is that when you become their hero, because you become their leader versus their controller, their drill sergeant, their warden, they're the person in control of everything that they do, they see you as their enemy. So we back off a little bit. So Rhiannon, you're like, so much information. How do you implement it all at once? You don't. You just develop an understanding. You see, you guys, we know these truths. What we teach you here at Creating Champions for Life are universal truths. We already know if we're going to book a date for a wedding, we already know that that's a goal. We pick a timeline, we create a plan, we take some effort, we make a list of the guest list, we send invitations, we do all of these things to plan for a wedding. But when we look at our leadership role in our homes, we don't take the time to plan our days with our kids. We already know these laws. I had 18 years of personal development. I was leading a team of over 10,000 people in business when I met Thomas. I had read all the personal development books. I knew the universal truths. I knew goal, plan, action, perseverance for my business life, but I didn't apply the same truths in my home. Your home is a mini business. You are the CEO of your home. You're the one that creates the environment in your home. You're the one that needs to have the perspective of, am I looking at my children as to control their behavior, or what life skills are they missing that if they had, this experience would work much better? When you decide to have children, you made a decision to take on this leadership role. And all we're doing is we're helping you step into your own leadership role with universal principles that you already know. You know that if you want to get a paycheck, you have to get up, make a resume, go get a job, apply for the job, go through a bunch of interviews, get a job, work for a couple of weeks, then you have a paycheck that you can go spend on groceries. Yes? So why would we raise our children in some sort of fantasy world that doesn't exist? Oh, you're so cute. Here, let me give you this, and this. And oh my gosh, you're screaming. I'm going to take this away. No more TV for you. I don't know who came up with these ideas when it came to parenting, but they're really taking us down a very heartbreaking path. It's not your fault. And you're not going to learn all 12 principles in one day, but we have a program, a mentorship hybrid self-study coaching program where we actually work with you and guide you through each step of the way. And we help you create your customized game plan. We help you with all of this stuff. This is not meant for you to figure it out all by yourselves, right? Yeah, that's what we're here for. So I know that we did just take a hose and sprayed you in the face with a vast amount of information. It's so much to take in, but our desire is to inspire you to reach out to us and say, hey, I want that PDF. Hey, I want weeks 1, week 2 replay. Hey, I want to know more about your mentorship program, your coaching program. So if you're watching this and you need the PDF, or you want all 3 replays of this series that we did, then go ahead and post a comment underneath this video, says yes, please. And we will be in touch with you and get you all of that information. So thank you so much. 3 kids with severe behavior issues. I know you understand. I totally understand, you guys. Like, oh my gosh, I wish you would come on here and talk with us live, maybe next week, right? I know it's scary to get on here live and talk about your stuff, but I'm telling you what, if I hadn't married the person that I married, and if I didn't have, 4 kids all at once, basically in less than 6 years, I had 4 kids. And if they didn't start diagnosing my oldest one with ADHD in grade 1, it took them 6-7 years to convince me to medicate him. And then when I did, all he did was bang his head on the counter when he had like 4 days worth of pills left, but he wanted his pills right now. And he started banging his head on the counter, screaming and crying. And I thought, oh my, medication's not the solution, obviously. And that's right around the time that I met Thomas. And I could see the brilliance of Creating Champions for Life because I had a business and I ran my business that way, where I would teach my downline goals and I would personally develop them and help them, navigate through their own maze. And I learned this as a leader, as a business leader, that if I did too much for my organization, they would never rise up and do it on their own. And so there we go. If we do too much for our children, they're never going to rise up to be all that they can be. And worse than that is they're going to go through their whole life thinking something's wrong with them. When we started working with Zach, he was ADHD and ODD, and he's like, you can't expect the same thing from me because my brain's broken. It's like heartbreaking to know, like, our kids think that their brain is broken when it was my fault. I never took any time to teach him any life skills. And he was the youngest of 4. And I mean, you have the 3 older siblings telling him who he should be. And then you have me and dad and grandparents, and just being that youngest one. I mean, God made him that way. He's got a great purpose. There's a reason why he went through his life the way that he did. But man, like, now that I can see through new lenses, like Tom said, and I can see that I had never really taught him anything, and it was my fault that he thought his brain was broken. It's heartbreaking for me. And that's why we just keep showing up. We're not like perfect public speakers. I know that we're not the best writers. Like, I know this. I'm reading 4 books right now on how to be a better writer so I can get our message out better. I'm still learning. And so I know that we throw so much information out there sometimes that you're like, oh my gosh, but we just do the best we can to be here with as much passion as we can to show you and tell you that, oh my gosh, all we have to do is this new way and you'll have a different life because it works. Okay. Thank you for commenting. I will definitely get you weeks 1 and week 2. Celine or Dawn, I don't know where we lost Jennifer live, but hopefully she's watching on Facebook. But did you have anything that you'd like to share, comment, ask? Hi, Dawn. You need to unmute yourself, but thank you so much for always joining and being here. You're awesome. I know you're going to work right away too.
Yeah. So getting ready time, and then by the end of your video, I'm pretty well put together and almost ready to walk out the door. So
good.
Yeah, here's my little Bentley.
Hi, Bentley. Bentley loves coming to see us.
Yeah.
He loves seeing your beautiful face too.
He's got an outfit on that he loves so much that he wants to wear it again today, and it's the 3rd day. So we're having a conversation about that. It's got holes in it. It's pretty dirty, and he's still pretty determined. He's wearing it to school today, no matter what.
What's awesome about that is, like, if my kid chooses to not shower or wear clean clothes, I ask him, would he like to be the smelly boy amongst his friends? To see if he's good with being the smelly boy, wearing clothes that aren't washed, then I'm good with it too. Like, who are we to stop them from being the one who smells in the classroom?
Okay. Yeah, that's where the thing is. It reflects on me, you know?
No, but
that's where the crazy mom comes out, and I forget how to be kind because I'm like,
Where did you learn? See, this is something we've got to look at, every single one of us moms, especially. Like, I don't think dads feel this as much as moms do. But where did you learn that your child, what he chooses, reflects on you? Like, are you one entity?
No, we're 2 separate people.
That's pretty cool, right? So do you remember where you learned that thought that what he does, holes in his clothes, reflects on you?
Yeah, I guess just growing up, somehow people may be saying, oh, your mom didn't do this right or that right or something. And I that's the best I could come up right now. But yeah.
I can relate.
People blame the parents. If anything is off, it's the parents' fault, and so we feel all this pressure to do it just so. And yeah, so that's part of why I'm here. That's why I come to help calm myself and help them be more independent.
Yeah, awesome. Because as soon as you let go of being attached to whether he's the smelly boy in class or not, guess what he'll do?
They won't care. Then they'll take care of it themselves.
They'll take better care of themselves because when you are their everything, be all everything, when everything they do, you think people look at you like that's you taking you and your child and making you one entity. And so what that does, it smothers their growth, and they just go, I'll show you. Oh, this irks, I don't know. I just know that as soon as you let go and you don't care, he'll wear clean clothes. I promise you that. Because kids always know better. They choose life. They do. You have something to say?
No, this is great. If you take, these are the ones that are watching. How many of us saw our little genius offspring there in the background demonstrating, look what I can do all by myself, called blow up a balloon.
Yeah. And then
Right?
I have another one over here making it do squeaky noises.
And look at this. I can make sound. Smiles always tell the truth. That's validated. We are all looking. We are all starved for attention. That's where that attention deficit label comes into play. The whole part of the deficit is nobody's given attention towards their goals. They're giving all the attention to what we don't like. Hey, stop doing that. I'm talking here. What's wrong with you? I mean, my gosh, what part of Captain Obvious are we missing? The
Right.
kids are screaming, we are here, we are here, we are here. And all we got to do is validate. Look at that. Look, we got ourselves a little factory here. We got kid 1 blowing up the balloons. We got kid 2 that knows how to pull it just right to make the squeaky sound.
Yep.
We got one more person, and we've got ourselves the 3 Musketeers and the 3 Stooges. Who's in? I'm in.
Yeah. Yeah. The third one is getting ready for the day. Yay. The other 2, I've been asking for an hour and there's been no progress.
And yet they have balloons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there you go. Thanks for that reminder.
See, Wi-Fi gets turned on in our house. We learned our lesson like a long time ago about this. Yeah, we've definitely had it hammered in that the Wi-Fi goes on after everything's done. The balloons come out after everything's ready. I'd love for you to play with balloons and have a balloon. As soon as you're all ready to go out the door, you can make that happen for yourself.
Yeah. Yep, I did that with the TV. I've got it connected to an app now, so I can turn it on after everything's done via my phone wherever I am. But they found something else this morning, so they don't care about the TV now that I've shut it. They have to wait for me to turn it on. They've decided they don't care about it anymore. I guess it's just we have to keep finding their fuel, which I was thinking about that when you mentioned about the library and how you guys figured out about the boy who couldn't read. That would be hard to figure out. I mean, it's really searching for what it is that motivates and what it is that why the behaviors are happening. Sometimes you can figure it out sooner than others, but other times it's not as obvious.
Here's a little assignment for you so we can move on to Celine before we run out of time. But I want you, Dawn, I want you to make a list and just take a piece of paper. Don't overthink anything. But if you know that a human being right, like if we lost our job and somehow ended up homeless, we could go to a soup kitchen, we could go to a shelter, and we could go to get somebody would donate some clothes. It's like a human right to have clothes, basic food, and basic shelter. And I want you to make a list during your day today, or maybe over the next couple of days, just carry around a piece of paper and go, what is every single privilege in my home above basic food, clothes, and shelter? What are the privileges that my kids are currently getting right now for free that they don't have to work for or earn that could be some fuel? So we don't have to think like, oh, their fuel is a car or some motorcycle or, taking them to Disneyland. These are called bribes, you guys. What pulled my 15-year-old through high school was garlic bread with dinner. I know. He could have the spaghetti and a glass of water, and he could even have sauce on the spaghetti. But if he chose that he wasn't going to do his school or he just was going to fluff off all day, then he showed up at dinner time and it was, here's your spaghetti and your glass of water. Oh, but I want garlic bread. I would love for you to have garlic bread. Where's your schoolwork from today? Oh my gosh. He had like a temper tantrum, like a 2-year-old, like literally like banging his head. He was my banging the head guy, punch himself. I'm like, do you need me to get you a helmet for Christmas so you don't hurt yourself? Like, what are you doing? He had this massive temper tantrum and I just had to allow him to do that. He was 15 years old, had a massive temper tantrum. And the next day, guess what he did?
He did it. He took care of it.
He did his homework. He did his work. He did his schoolwork for the day. And not only that, like that was the only time, that was the one temper tantrum he had when he showed up for dinner and didn't get garlic bread. So I'm just saying, do I owe my son garlic bread? Like I owe them food, but do I owe them garlic bread? And
No.
no. So that became a privilege. So just think
Mhm.
every single thing in your children's lives right now they get for free that could be something that you have to work for or earn, then it should be something that they can work for and earn. And trust me, guys, this might sound like what? Because we've been taught to kiss and cuddle and respond to our kids' every whim for like 85 years. But your children will rise to the occasion and it'll push them through obstacles. It'll push them through adversities. It'll push them through just enough struggle that it will actually help them develop confidence because now they don't see you as I need you as my lifeline. They start seeing themselves as the lifeline because they start achieving small successes along the way. It's the only way to help our children grow their emotional quotient and to develop confidence is by allowing them to struggle just like the oak tree or just like
it's time to do like Thomas had said, go back to zero. Like when you had your big home and then you downsized. It's time
God
to go back down to zero.
Yes, God says I'll feed the birds every day. I promise to feed the birds every day. But he doesn't come down from heaven and shove birds or worms down their throat. Like the birds have to get out of the nest and go hunt for their worms, and he feeds them every day.
Yeah.
See, your children can be, do, and have whatever it is that's important to them. If they have to wait till they're 16, 17, 18, that's one thing. But rather than just telling them no over my dead body versus, hey, we'll talk about that when you're 16. It's right. You're still saying no, but you're not saying no. You're telling them what to do. I'm going to move on. Celine has something to say, but I really appreciate you and your little ones. I love that they love to join you on these calls. We love seeing your awesome faces. So we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
See them way sooner, but yeah. Hi, Celine.
Oh,
hi, welcome.
Hello. I'm getting put on the spot. I didn't know I was supposed to say something. So here we go.
No, you don't have to. I thought you wanted to. So
okay, well, I can share a win. I know I have a daughter that has a severe ADHD, and I kept saying like she can't concentrate, like I can't get her to like stay focused for 10 minutes. So I started doing the monkey see, monkey do, where I would sit at the table with them and I would do my parenting class while they would do their schoolwork. And now she's actually doing her work and she's actually timing herself now every day. She writes on her paper, I started at 4:45, and then she watches on her watch to see how fast she can get it done. So she went from like doing something in like 2 hours to doing it in 15 minutes because now she's like challenging herself to do it so much faster. And she's like motivating herself and she's like really proud of herself, and it's like self-motivation. So it's really great.
Wow, I almost cried like 3 different times today just with you parents. Like that's an amazing story. See, ADHD, when the doctor told me when my 13-year-old and I finally put him on medication, and the doctor says, your son is missing neural pathways. So, and I didn't know what a neural pathway was at the time, but I know now what a neural pathway is. And so I just went, oh, he's missing a neural pathway. Well, maybe he does need medication to help him in school. But now I've learned that when we're born, like when a human being comes into the world as a baby, as a newborn baby, they're born with a blank canvas, 0 neural pathways. They have no idea how the world works. Sit straight up in your chair is a neural pathway that has been developed over time, right? Like, so we just got to know, okay, what is ADHD? Like, let's just take the title out of it. Like, let's take the diagnosis out of it and go, okay, where does my child need help? Well, my child's impulsive. My child is hyperactive. My child has trouble to focus. So our brain is just like a muscle, and the more we exercise, what we don't use, we lose. Like if you didn't use your arm for 3 months, you'd be pretty weak, if you had it tied up or something like that, you would just lose the use of it. And so if we're not consciously practicing focus, where we'll put a candle in the middle of the table and we'll set a stopwatch for 2 minutes, and can we just stare at the candle for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. These are things, a practice of the mind to develop the ability to focus. I promise most of these children that are being diagnosed can't focus, sit on their video game for 3 hours at a time and make it.
That's so true.
They're not focused on anything else other than what they're doing at that time, which tells me they can focus, but they've been told that they can't because they've been told, oh, you're not sitting still at your desk. You know, you keep getting up, you're a disruptor. And then they own that. They're like, I'm a disruptor. I can't sit still. I can't focus. And then they start feeding themselves. So if I can't, then why even try? Are you with me?
Yes.
We're going to help them develop these neural pathways through conscious practice. And if you're dealing with children who have behavior disorders, then we will help you with these practices as we go so that your child can develop these skills and learn to navigate. Because I promise, if they lack in one area, they're a genius in another area. And we just haven't found that yet, because the box that society, the one size fits all in our school classrooms, has not found their genius yet. But you're finding your daughter's genius, and she wants to be like you. And she wants to be responsible and independent and to challenge herself. She doesn't want to do homework because she has to, because you told her to. But now she's got a bigger drive that's driving her to be self-motivated and self-disciplined. And that is just the greatest gift you could ever give her. So
yes, when they come to you and say, thank you, Mom, you know, just for like the little changes that you make, that is what makes it worth it.
Yes, you're right on. Well, thank you so much and for talking and for joining us here. I'll take the pressure off and take you down, but that was a blessing for us. Thank you. So when we struggle with self-control and focus, how do we teach what learn it together, practice together, put the candle on, have it be a family exercise. Hey, you know what? Mommy, daddy, we struggle with this too. So we're going to practice self-control training together. The will, I think the candle exercise came from practicing the use of the will, to will your mind to focus only on the candle, to not itch, blink, look at anything else going on, to will that mind to just focus on one place. Anyways, do it together. None of us are perfect. None of us have it all figured out. I am still working on self-control because when I told my mom about oppositional defiant disorder, she goes, oh, you were oppositional defiant disorder. That's what you were. And I'm like, yeah, because you never recognized my greatness. And she sent me a text just last week that said, I've always been impressed by you. And I was like, you have? I didn't know that. That's great. So anyways, so practice together. Do you have anything else to add before we wrap it up?
Yeah, just a plus one. You know, if you go back to what Celine just shared, dictating. Nobody likes to be told what to do, unless, of course, you ask a question and you're answering it as you have their best interests at heart, not your wolf in sheep's clothing hidden agenda.
Right.
You see, our kids are a soundboard, a echo back. They are a reflection, a mirror of us. We need to heal, because if we were to go back, who's older, you or them? Who decided to have kids? You or them? Who would actually be the leader in this relationship? You or them? And if you can look at that universal principle called cause and effect, who's the cause that's creating the effect? And see, when you can actually look at, if I were to actually sit down, like Celine, who's been doing some coaching one-on-one with us, and saw that it can shorten the learning curve even faster. Oh my gosh, if I actually stop talking, they'll actually start seeing, because nobody was ever taught to walk. And when she modeled, I'm actually demonstrating what it looks like. Yeah, that was powerful, because now the ancient learning that goes back however far in history you can calculate, monkey see, monkey do, is how we first learned to do anything. Just like the big two-leggers that were walking, we saw it and wanted to do it just like them. And that's when that goal started to percolate up and get stronger and stronger and stronger. And it had that will to overcome any obstacle and be like water to go over, around, or through. And that's the process. You must model it first. Don't tell them, show them. And that right there was the secret that when Celine took that and ran with it, we've already heard many victories start to happen. And just like that game called Name That Cry, when you get the answer right, our little genius offspring reward us with quiet, silence, and cooperation. You remember the game because that cry was, oh, that's right. Pick me up, put me down. That's the bottle. Can't reach my rattler. And we got really, really good at that game. No, yes, moms. The major question is if you look back, when did you stop playing Name That Cry? And that's going to be the turning point of when things consistently went downhill and got worse until they were unbearable. So we must heal, unite, then empower, and it is a healing process.
Absolutely. And I just want to say this. There was a comment saying my kids keep thinking they're entitled, and I remind them where the money comes from and how hard their dad works to make it happen. Kids don't get that. All they hear is want, 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 want. You tell them how hard I'm working to do this for you. They want to do it themselves, and they would like to earn things, their goals, all by themselves. And the only way for your child to learn is through practical experience. And that's why the kids would earn garlic bread with dinner. Everything that they had in their lives, every single thing that my children have in their lives today, their cars, their apartments, their furniture, their clothes, everything they made happen on their own. Because of Creating Champions for Life, we were able to train them to become adults while they still lived at home. Because we have to earn extra money to buy the privileges like garlic bread, like cable TV, like Wi-Fi, like cell phones, like computers, like everything that we have, right? So we get to, they want to. That's the biggest thing, that they want to. And it's the only way that they're going to learn themselves how hard dad works. All right. So if you're just tuning in, I just want to point this out. We have the Parenting Path to Paradise. We have weeks 1, week 2, week 3. And we do, if you want to go through them and know what we've talked about in week 1 and week 2, let us know by placing a comment in the comment section below this video, and we'll make sure to get you all the information to finish the series out. So close it out.
Yes.
Close it.
I think the last thing there was there's a path for you to actually get your own colors done. That's part of the call to action, yes?
Yeah, sure.
Because when you can get your colors done, where you know which area needs to be fixed, what areas are okay we could get better at, and maybe there's some areas that are world class, it helps bring light to the holes in the bucket to be fixed and get that healed. Then we can get ourselves united to work as a unit and then start to empower them. Because at the end of the day, they showed up in physical form, better known as a baby, and they picked you as their trusted advisor to see their greatness and show them how the world works, but not tell them how you want them to work. That's the mystery rub. And when you can walk that line, then you will be creating a champion for life, and your kids can be actually born into freedom rather than slavery.
Yeah. So I'd love to see a reality show of how you do it. Yeah. So if you are a coaching client of ours, or, you get on the phone with Tom, we do have the option to bring your kids on and have Tom walk you through certain scenarios. A reality show is our biggest dream. I do believe that this content will be discovered somehow by like Oprah. Hi, Oprah. We're here. We want a reality show, but somebody that can see the beauty, the brilliance of Creating Champions for Life, of the personal development built into parenting, so that children can turn 18 and have all the character. They can have work ethic, confidence, independence. They know how to take initiative, like all of the things we would love for our kids to have. It's our job to develop that in the home.
I like that comment that just showed up. I was just going to say, if you've got a reality show, we would love to meet somebody who's got a reality show. And then when you just wrote in there, we can help with that. We know people. We knew that when this journey took on, this was back in 2011.
At the end of, I met Tom in
Yep.
January of 2011. He came to my house in May. I lived in a big 7-bedroom house. I was a top 10 producer in the company that I was in. All my kids had Toys R Us in their bedrooms. They all had their own bedrooms because I worked my butt off to give them an easier, great, beautiful life and never expected anything from my children. I was reading all the parenting books, watching Super Nanny, everything under the sun. But you see, every other parenting methodology that you're learning out there have the same basic foundation, where your child does something you don't like, then we need to do something they don't like to teach them a lesson. And it's just completely off the mark. They call it positive parenting, but it doesn't feel very positive for you or your child to drag them over to a timeout or take their favorite toy away or ground them from their friends for 2 weeks as a reaction. And it doesn't matter. Love and Logic, they have a few great principles, but they don't have all 12 principles of empowerment. We're the only ones in the world that have that, because if I could have learned this from somewhere else and been a better mom, I would have. I wouldn't have done all of the work that it took to get us here 10 years later. And I was like, oh my God, you have a parenting philosophy the world needs to know about. So thank you. Help introduce us to people. All right, guys, we could talk to you all day. We love you and we want the best for you. And I'm looking forward to getting back to all of these comments here, all the people that are looking for this PDF and the replays of weeks 1 and week 2.
That's right.
So
until we meet again, here's to our parenting success. Cheers.
Bye for now.